And the winner is... Arctic Monkeys!
That subscriber content, eh? That subscriber content, it just won't go away.
It might hibernate from time to time and sink back into the swamp. I think the cyclical nature of the universe in which it exists demands it adheres to some of its rules.
But it's always waiting there, just around the corner, ready to make its way into your ears and smash through the gated payment system, sounding better than ever.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Benefits such as getting ad-free episodes a week early with pre- and post-show chat relating to the monkeys, last Shadow Puppets episodes, bonus podcasts, watch-alongs, plus helping us improve our sound with better equipment and services.
Yeah, this podcast seems like it's fading away sometimes, but with subscribers, it will never die. Thank you very much for listening. We do truly appreciate it. Don't take that the wrong way.
Yeah, we'll invoice you for the subscription if we need to.
We're Arctic Monkeys. This is Don't Believe the Hype.
That rock and roll, eh? Ladies! That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question. Cheers, dude.
That man just yawned.
We're gonna call it that.
Don't Believe the Hype.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Don't Believe the Hype, the weekly podcast that's taken a chronological look back at the career of Arctic Monkeys. Penultimate track of the album now. Ooh, it's hotting up. Ooh. Joining me, Nick Lee, with his cough drop coloured tongue, it is, of course, Dan Holt. Hi, Dan.
Hello. How are you? I know you're a bit ill. You got a bit of a lurgy, whatever.
I'll live, though, in case you're wondering. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, we've all got... We've got
problems, Nick.
We've got a bet going, see whether you make it through the night or not. But we'll see.
Who's this bet with?
Emma and Dave.
Oh yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
Yes.
Who apparently now just relay messages from my exes. That's wonderful.
Save it all for Suck It and See, mate. You can get it all out in Suck It and See. I will be. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm not that you asked, but I'm good. I've got it. Oh no, you did. You did ask. Oh, you about to go on? Sorry.
And I led with asking how you were, and then I've just asked him. Always checking in. Always checking in.
Well, that's good.
I'm like Mourinho with Dele Alli. Always checking in.
I'm good because we've got the rough song out of the way last week, and we're on again not like a favorite of mine, but it's not a bad song, so I'm not going to be saying anything too negative about it. But it's just not one that I yearn for constantly to play live or hear. It's just a decent track, but by the last great guitar band. Not my words, Nicholas. The words of Mr. Damon Albarn from Blur/Gorillaz.
It's nice to get some confirmation of what we've been saying for weeks, that we think he'd be a big Arctics fan.
Well, he's commented before, hasn't he, when Tranquility came out and he got asked about it, because I remember on XFM they asked Noel Gallagher and he was a twat about it, and they asked Damon Albarn and he said he was really enjoying it, and he said he's very talented, that Mr. Turner, annoyingly so, is what he said, with a wry smile on his face.
Very Damon Albarn thing to say, that is.
Very is, yeah. So yeah, he said it. He said it. I mean, that's Bob Dylan saying Alex is a great lyricist. David Albarn. I mean, these are the people that you want to be saying it because they know what they're talking about.
Albarn, Milligan, please.
Sessions. Yeah, that's what you want. All we need now is for like who could come out and say and who's like the most prolific artist with credibility still around.
Oh, right. You said with credibility. So now
yeah. Prolific. We could have said we could have said Sharon basically, but I said with credibility at the end just to counteract all those people.
That's cancelled a load out. That has.
It's counted out all modern music. Yeah. Who's the last great? Who's still around?
Oh, well, the dream for me is Pete Doherty saying something nice. Because I'd say he's fairly prolific. He's got like hundreds of songs, and he's brought an album out pretty much every year.
Yeah, but I mean, where people couldn't argue you. Yeah, but I mean, where people could go.
That's a problem, yeah.
Because if I said him, they go, right, yeah, okay, because he knows big heroin addict, blah, 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 blah. So there'd be no point saying him. But someone who, like, when you go, Bob Dylan said, when you say Alex is the greatest lyricist, and people go, oh, I don't think that's true. And you go, well, Bob Dylan said it. They can't really go, oh, we don't know what he's talking about. So or people say, well, Damon Albarn said they're the last greatest album. What does he know what he's talking about? Well,
Did Dylan say it electrically on acoustic?
If Noel Gallagher came out and said if Noel Gallagher came out and he said he loved all that Arctic Monkey stuff, everyone would go, "Oh right, so it is good then." For some reason,
yeah. Why does his opinion matter more than anyone else? Is it? Spoiler alert, it shouldn't.
Bruce Springsteen came out and said he was a massive Arctic Monkeys fan.
I think Bruce Springsteen would like Suck It and See as well.
Oh, I think he would as well. And
it's all open roads and shit.
I guess if Bowie was, I would have not one of my biggest gripes because the poor man's dead, but there's a lot of gripes with that. But one of my biggest
he died before he could say something nice about Alex.
Well, no, what I mean specifically is he died 2 years before Tranquility came out, and I would have loved to have heard his comments on that if ever asked of that album, because no doubt he would have been because of its themes and it being a bit Bowie-esque.
The day that Bowie died was the same day that Bad Habit by Last Shadow
Puppets
music
died.
Thanks for my.
We started singing.
Point, just being
Sorry, go on.
Hungover.
Sorry, I can't resist. When you say the day someone died, I'm gonna. Which is, by the way, if anyone's wondering, in my top 5 favorite songs of all time. Karen,
it was for me, and it's probably my favorite of all time until Madonna murdered it, and I just couldn't listen to it.
That's gone. That doesn't.
Oh no,
it's been taken out of my brain.
It'll be fucking Ed Sheeran covering Hotel California next. That'll upset me. No, the day that Bowie's death was announced was the same day that Bad Habits by Last Shadow Puppets was released. And it's like, oh, Bowie's dead. Mental. Oh, this song's mental as well. It's like a nice little.
Bowie had some bad habits back in the day.
Apparently so. But I leave them all. Right.
But we should say enough about nostalgia. We're going to be doing a song tonight. We didn't actually say it, but obviously it's the 11th track, and it's Old Yellow Bricks, which is a I think it's is it a fan favorite? I think it's a bit of a fan favorite. It's just us that aren't.
I've seen a lot of people wanting to hear it live again recently. Yeah, so
I'm not overly arsed about it coming back, but I don't dislike it. But some people really do. So there you go. But then we really liked If You Were There, Beware, and This House of the Circus, and the streams would suggest that they're not that popular. So isn't it? Horses for courses.
No accounting for people, is there? Right, let's have a listen to Old Yellow Bricks. And it's like may well be the last time that we decide to break out Glastonbury 2007. No, it won't be. It won't be, because we'll have to break it out for Temptation Greets You Like Your Naughty Friend.
You're not breaking it out. So that's a clue for everyone there that you're not going to be using Glastonbury 7 for 505. Then you've got something else in mind. Keep it under your hat.
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I've got it down between 2, and I'm sure, given the way this series has gone, you can guess which 2 shows I'm looking at. Speaking of the way this series has gone, don't forget all our links are in the episode description for all the other episodes.
Can I throw?
We've covered the first album. That's done. First album done. It's dead to us now. In fact, it pretty much is, because I've not listened to it since. But there's all the stuff there in our episode description, and you can find the way to subscribe for loads of bonus stuff.
If you're willing to, because we'll just play it separately. But if you were willing to break you past the current timeline of the clip, I'd throw the hat in the ring for a third option of Glastonbury 2013 505, because that was a spectacular performance of it as well.
Yeah, that's third on my list, but I can't break my self-imposed rule, Dan.
We could, to be fair, we could play all 3 throughout the episode, probably. With it being a TikTok sensation, big song, we should probably milk that one. But that one will go viral on TikTok, that trailer. We already get a huge reception as it is. So,
as long as there's no more wrong uns being exposed on the telly between now and then, which current rate, I'd imagine our chances
got a week.
Slim. Yeah, there's gonna be at least 3 by then.
Keep it together,
lads. Right, enough of wrong uns. Let's have the right uns, but not the right uns. We've discussed that before, and I've no desire to go down that particular conversational alleyway once again. That's fucking horrible.
They're 8 good.
Let's have a listen to Old Yellow Bricks.
She was enraged by the way that the emperors were trapped in the cage, and the days she dreams over, leading to nights reading beer bottles. You're such a fugitive, but you don't know where you're running from. You can't give, and you couldn't take anyone who's in you. You don't know where you're trying to escape from. You want to sleep in a city and have a wake, so blinded by nostalgia. You want to sleep in a city and have a wake, so.
That was nice. It is a fun tune, to be fair. It is fun. And if they did play it live, I wouldn't be like, oh, I wish this. I would enjoy it while they were playing it.
I don't think there's any song they could play live where I'd be like,
No, that apart from the bad thing, maybe. Would you reckon you get into
I
it?
mean, if they did that, that's the point where I'd finally get onto this this weird like conspiracy train.
That'd be jump in the
the
shark
band that
moment
breaking
of Arctic Monkeys if they crack the bad thing out now, live. After
Yeah,
all the stuff
they're
they've
officially
refused to
splitting
bring
up,
back.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I think there'd be some people that's judging by a section of the fans that if they'd played the bad thing at Glastonbury would have been like, excellent. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what people want.
Yeah.
Should we,
Sing it like you used to sing it.
should we give some information on the old yellow bricks, I guess?
I think we should do exactly that.
Information action ratio. Ain't that the place to go?
Old Yellow Bricks is track 11 on the album and is free. I tried it written differently this week. So I normally say Old Yellow Bricks is the 11th track on the album. But I thought, you know what, I'll say track 11. And then I really struggled to actually say that. Then I went, Old Yellow Bricks.
I noticed as it was unfolding.
My mouth was going, no, that's not right. That's not how you say it.
I thought it was like, God, he's taking a shit with his clothes on here.
Old Yellow Bricks is track 11 on the album and is 3 minutes and 13 seconds long with 149.8 million streams on Spotify. So decent amount. So the numbers are back up. It is 135 beats per minute and is in the key of C major.
Wrong key though.
Other key tracks in C major are The Most 80s Act Possible and Something I Quite Like to Suck On. Sorry, for fuck's sake.
Queen.
It's Wham! With Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. That was low. Don't even know if Wham bars are international. That was a low dig.
Well, I wasn't
just
as soon as you said suck, I wasn't sure where you were going. I was thinking, banana rama.
I couldn't even say it. Yeah, because of Wham bars, and so I couldn't even say it. But poor George Michael. Just a cheap gay joke on it. That's all that was. Alas, it's the Ant-Man Michael Jackson crossover that we've all been waiting for. Bruno Mars with When I Was Your Man. And I wish Paul McCartney would take his own advice for the rest of his career and Let It Be by the Beatles, of course. The song has been played live 169 times, firstly on April 9th, 2007 at the Southampton Guildhall. It seems like one half of the album got debuted at the secret gig in Sheffield, and then the other half got debuted at the Southampton Guildhall on April 9th. And lastly, on September 6th, 2015, at the Lou Fest 2014, which is in St. Louis, Missouri, on my mum's birthday there. Not birthday, that'd be weird.
Good as a minute.
Yeah, St. Louis, Missouri there. It was written by singer Alex Turner and bombshell John McClure. The latter is best known for fronting Reverend and the Makers, if you didn't know. Yeah, we know that. If you don't, they have a song called Heavyweight Champion of the World. Check it out. And others, to be fair, but I particularly like that one. I think that was probably the biggest commercial success as well. A familiar theme for the band is the 1939 film The Wizard of Oz, as we know, because in 2007 at the Brit Awards, the band dressed as the Wizard of Oz and the Village People, obviously, in costumes for their acceptance videos. So a little bit of continuity with the album there by doing the Wizard of Oz, do you think? Do you think it's a little
You'd imagine there's a fair bit of getting stoned on the road and stuff like that in a tour bus, and that's the perfect film for it. Interesting. I never realised it was 1939 that it came out. Imagine you've made The Wizard of Oz, and you're like, I've made a cinematic masterpiece. I've made the greatest thing ever. This is going to fill the cinemas for years, and then the war starts. Like, oh,
It was. I think it was the first film in color. I could be really wrong about that.
Yes,
I think
I think it may well have been.
I think it may well have been. I may be wrong about that though, but yeah, I think it was because you got those charts. It's like the first ever sort of feature length animation, Steamboat Willie, first ever film, first ever. You got all these things, and I think the color one is The Wizard of Oz. I think.
Contrary to popular belief, The Wizard of Oz was not the first colour film, not even close.
That should be the one I've seen as well. Not even close.
Snow
First
White. Commercially produced film in natural colour was A Visit to the Seaside, 1908.
1908?
8-minute British short film used the cinema colour process.
You see, I think that's trickery. I think The Wizard of Oz was the first feature film in color. I think that's how to define it. Like maybe because a short minute film that's probably like 8 minutes or something. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, while you look at that, I'll carry on because this song was
incorrect as well.
So what was
the world, the Flesh and the Devil in 1914 was the first feature film in color. But you're only 25 years off, mate.
How long is it though? Was it just before another war though?
Yes. Yeah. What is it about experimenting with colours in film? And then the war starts. It is in total 1 hour 35.
I'll give them that then. I'll give them that. I can have that from me. It was this track, Old Driller Bricks, was sampled by the Rizzle Kicks in a song called I'm 17. For anyone who doesn't know, who doesn't have the pleasure of knowing, so they're either didn't find out about the UK or international. The Rizzle Kicks were a British hip-hop duo from Brighton, England, consisting of Jordan Rizzle Stevens and Harley... this makes me laugh. Harley Sylvester Alexander Sewell. Yes, he sounds like a working-class lad from the streets, doesn't he? Building his rap career.
I love that one of them's called Rizzle.
He goes to the Brit School, did he?
Yeah, the first one's nickname is Rizzle, but the second one, Kicks, isn't anyway.
I was expecting that when I read it. I was like, so it's going to be Harley Kicks then.
Sylvester Theodore Harley Kicks.
The third from the streets, yo. Their debut album, Stereotypical, was released in 2011, and as of May 2012, Rizzle Kicks has sold over 1 million singles and over 600,000 albums in the UK. Since 2015, Alexander Sewell has released music under the stage name Jimmy Charles Moody. And since
writing and performing music under the name.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And since 2016, Stevens had released music under the stage names Wildhood, AI, and The Native, as well as under his own name as well. I know, it's just that huge success, having that huge success and then dragging you down. Should we have a listen?
I mean, that was rhetorical because I've got the clip, wasn't it? So
let's
keep ourselves, shall we? Yeah, I will say they've always come across very nice when I've seen them on panel shows.
Yeah, well spoken, aren't they? Well mannered. Private school. All that. Actually, no, private school people. Actually, based on what we know, no. Well, we can't speak for Jordan Stevens. That sounds like a normal name, but I think we can safely suggest that Harvey Sylvester Alexander Sewell might be a bit upper class.
Well, that's my research after we finish here. I'll be researching deep into the career of Rizzle Kicks. But for now, let's just have 58 seconds of whatever the fuck this is.
It's Riz. Yeah. So to start from the start, I'm a master my art and advance on my path with a heart full of passion. Always start the calm and I come with the hardest parts, but I do it in an elegant fashion. Yeah, cause it's hard to break through, you gotta get randomness and listen like a mace when everybody getting in a tree underrate too. It's cool like I make do, cause I know that I'll drop bars about losing reception. Your bruise an exception, you'll love my music, but it's you who's confused by she's pregnant. Nigga last skill, but the fact still that I'm fabulously British like Jack Wills. Must stick to my own style, so you don't know my profile then. When I walk into college with my headphones on and listening to music, you think, well, you could be walking to college with your headphones on and, well, I suppose you should.
But Harvey Sylvester Alexander Sewell was right, though. I not so much because normally when you get like a sample to me is like like Diamonds Are Forever by Kanye West, for example. You take a bit of the Shirley Bassey version and you blend it in. Countless examples of that in music. Sometimes you don't even realize that isn't so much as a sample to me as just playing the original song and them rapping over it instead of having the original singer on it.
That's essentially it. Yeah, we could have done that.
Yeah, and it would have been just as bad, probably. I'm not going to say better.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say worse either.
You're not going to pen me into an opinion here.
no, because it could go touch and go. We could have done it better than that. I think I genuinely mean that. And that start bit is the worst bit. When they start rapping, it's not too bad, I guess.
It's Riz.
It's really that it Rizzle Kicks. Oh, it's awful. That well, the picture is also very 2006 for people that can't see it. That aren't subscribers. Become a subscriber, then you can see it. But the picture, there's an incentive.
£5 a month to see Rizzle fucking Kicks.
But the picture is he's wearing a Top Man jacket that I had on it. I remember that sort of. It was like one of those American college style jock jackets.
Oh, we all had them, mate. We all
had them. And the two girls that are just in the bed that look like. I mean, so they're trying to be cool and kind of rap, but they just look like two 15-year-olds sat cautiously in the mum's spare room with two girls.
They look like they're working out whether they should go to the police like now or wait till the heat's died down, wait till it's all settled down a bit.
Well, with it being 2011, 2012, they were really like a stray over from that whole time. Like they really would have got away with that kind of thing in 2006, 2007 when the indie scene was in and there was all that weird stuff like Dizzy and stuff like that. But 2011, 2012 feels like they were just past that. And they were like last dregs of that kind of crap. But yeah, anyway, dreadful. Probably one of the worst. It's up there as one of the worst takings of an Arctic Monkey song I've heard. And that's including Tom Jones. I'm putting it close. So yeah, should we do some reviews?
Yeah, might as well, aren't we?
We've also had two very good Arctic Monkeys covers, Kate Nash and Avenues and Alleyways man doing his cover of Only One Knows. So they've ruined it now with that. That's the last one as well. Next week, Arctic Monkeys sample something, not their sampled.
yeah, it's switching the old Arctic Monkey switcheroo. I did notice on the Mardy Bum episode, we played a cover by a singer called Mahalia. It turns out it's pretty big. Like she's playing like loads of festivals. Oh,
that what? Sorry, that was she did when the sun goes down, was it? No, Mardy Bum. Yeah,
Mardy Bum.
Yeah, well, she's a rising star. Yeah, she was.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I just thought it was some like bedroom singer that you found. Because I keep seeing on those festival lineups this summer.
Yeah, no, because I didn't find her on like she's not an official cover of it. She just did it live and
yeah, it's like a session.
But you say that, but I think that wasn't that cover old. So she's taken a while, but she's getting there. Yeah, it happens to know. Build your career. So on this, Uncut said, finally the home stretch sees Nightmare open up with the emotional clarity of The Bad Thing, Old Yellow Bricks and 505. Old Yellow Bricks depicts a slacker type who's wasting his life. It's a scathing yet sympathetic portrait, especially the chorus. Don't agree with their assessment of what the lyrics are about there.
Nope.
What was it? No.
Nope.
Enemy's Greatest List placed this one at number 29, saying, accentuated by arriving bassline and garage rock swagger, the Wizard of Oz inspired tune captures the youthful naivety of leaving your hometown in search of somewhere bigger, brighter, and better. Yeah, kind of, right. 29 is too high for me personally, because that's the high, apart from next week's probably. I don't know where it sits yet, but I imagine it's higher than 29. Apart from that aside, I think that's the highest ranking non-single song on this album that Enemy have put there. And I would disagree. I think, again, If You Were There Beware and This House of Circus were done badly by this list.
Yes, they really were.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
alarmingly so.
Alarmingly so, yeah. Bad Enemy. I expect better from Enemy, considering how much arse you look at Arctic Monkeys all the time. So this song, man, what are you thinking?
It's good. It's basic. It's good. Very easy for the
basic bitch.
For the beginner guitarist and bassist, which is something you want, isn't it? That's fair play. But yeah, it's
You could say that about all the similar lyrics of this, though, couldn't you? Like Fake Tales, Teddy Picker, this, all very easy for the early guitarist.
I think they've kind of taken up that mantle from Oasis, as like having stuff that you'd try out early on.
Yeah, but they wrote their own riffs. They didn't use for bands
true.
riffs.
This is true.
if you know any song from the 60s or 70s, you can play an Oasis song anyway. So
Oh,
yeah. Works both
You might
ways.
as well
can
just
a
learn
lot
the
of songs.
Beatles instead, and then
No, in
and then
fact,
that
you may
way
as
know
well
the Beatles and Oasis.
actually learn Oasis, and then it's a pathway to learning every other song that exists. There you go, easy.
Pretty much. If you like Status Quo and T-Rex, whoa, Gary Glitter.
And the Beatles, obviously, Gary Glitter. Look it up. If you like Gary Glitter. I mean, always a nonce always comes up. So we can't get 1 week without a nonce coming up, can we?
I mean, it was Oasis' fault because they literally did they had to write to him in prison to ask for permission to not just rip.
Doesn't feel right, that does it? I feel like if I was like, right, I don't think, is this wrong to do this? But I just don't think I can do this song without getting a sample of that Lost Prophets tune. So I know it's morally not great, but I'm going to write a letter. Well, surely you'd go, maybe this isn't cool. Maybe we just leave this because he's in prison for being.
Listen, as well. That's why I don't feel guilty listening to Rock and Roll Part 2 on Spotify, because he doesn't get any of the money. He doesn't own his rights anymore, so he don't get a penny. And he hasn't done since like the early 90s when he sold the rights to pay for, I don't know what he was up to really, to pay for whatever he was doing. So we didn't even need to consult with him.
I mean, I've never listened to Gary Glitter since it happened, to be fair. Or I mean,
I saw the Joker.
No,
because his streaming numbers went mental after the Joker because of that one song.
No, I refuse. I don't even listen to Michael Jackson really. But I mean,
I don't really now, actually. Not for any particular reason.
I mean, mainly because I don't like the music, to be honest. But for the most part. But I don't know. I think even if he's not making money off it, it just feels a bit, because it's not like when someone, I'm not like just you cancel someone and you stop, because I still enjoy like some of Louis C.K. stand up and stuff. But it's just he's prolific. It's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He's not a guy who made a mistake.
There's the separating the art from the artist, and there's the too much of that in it. Do you know what I mean? It's like if I was a Top of the Pops fanatic. Do you know what I mean? I'd have to give that up.
I think right now, if you're a big historic deaths fanatic as well, the Hugh Edwards thing, he's going to be consigned to the same.
We got an official name out, have we?
Yeah, we have.
Is it out now?
Yeah, his wife did a statement on his behalf.
Does his wife count? Is that enough?
Yeah, because it was a statement issued by him that she passed on.
That's fine.
Dan. Good job this isn't Mock the Week, isn't it? You'd be fucked.
If it was Mock the Week, I would have prepared, but it's not. I prepared for the song that we're doing that was supposed to be covered, and probably most people listening are going, yes, that's good, Dan. After the song rather than talking about everything else he's talking about currently.
All those coverages of like royal deaths and stuff like that, we're not going to see half of it now. It's going to be like them episodes of Pops that have just...
I know. We talked about this on last week's episode, but I don't know if it was on air or if it was subscribers.
Was it me getting all agitated because
we were just briefly
was there and he probably had a gayness out?
We just briefly mentioned that we won't be able to use that footage anymore. We didn't name any names because the May 2 days ago when we recorded that episode, there was no names out.
Names now.
Yeah, she released it the next day.
The news cycle has caught
up. But yeah, no. I think you can separate the art from the artist, but I think there's a limit to that. It depends how prolific they were and what they did. I think
no one's taking Rock and Roll Part 2 away from me. I'm sorry. I'll pry that out of my cold dead hands.
Don't like it anyway. Monkey shit. But anyway,
it's shit. But even a stop clock's right, like once or twice a day, isn't it?
Look, mate. If you fancy kids, just it's fine.
That's the point I'll be cutting. Lovely stuff.
I control the fucking subscriber stuff, mate. Though, so it'll be cutting for them. I mean,
yeah, but they're implicit because they've paid, so they're implicit in.
Oh right.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah,
it's not a RICO kit charge or something. Is that what you're trying to get them on?
They'll all have to hand in the WhatsApps like Boris Johnson definitely didn't lie about this week.
Oh, if we ever had to do that, I'd be getting the old redactor out.
He genuinely said he couldn't remember the password. That was his genuine excuse for not handing his WhatsApps over.
It's the perfect lie because no one can say you're lying. Because it's something
everyone knows you are.
Legally, they can't say anything. It's perfect. That's the problem with the law. It's perfect. You just have to come up with something like that. No one can disprove it. If he said like something happened where like his phone died or something, then they can check that in the technology that he's lying. But if he just says I forgot the password, there's no way of clarifying that. It's the perfect lie.
And to be fair, to look at him, you'd think, yeah, that's the type of man who would forget a password.
Yeah, the act he puts on
himself most mornings.
Well, that's the ruse he plays, yeah. The character. But anyway, bloody hell, Nick.
Soccer
Talking about
characters.
nonces and philanderers. So, I mean, obviously, this is a mega catchy riff, I think.
Just
Actually makes me think of Reverend, actually. Reverend the Maker, speaking of him writing it. Like the bass in Heavyweight Champion of the World is very similar to the bass in this, I think, a bit, isn't it? It's got that doom, 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 and this is doom, doom, doom. Yeah, it's quite similar, actually. Scarily so. So you can see how this riff fits. Came from the bass, do you think, the riff? You think Nick wrote the bass and that's where the song came? It feels like a bass riff that the guitar has taken.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't.
Which apparently is the case for Fluorescent Adolescent, according to some of the things that we revealed in that episode. So. Unless, do you think when it says the Reverend helped write it, does it mean lyrically? Do you think entirely, or?
Yeah, I wonder if
he had some hand in the music,
like
the rhythm,
a line or two that he's maybe.
Yeah, there's no other clarification on what he came up with, but they were just him and Alex having a drink talking about Nick, and they just wrote some lyrics about Nick, as we'll get to in a minute. I don't know, but yeah, I wonder if he wrote the rhythm as well. I don't know. Depends really. It depends because it depends what came first with this kind of song, the chicken or the dickhead. No, what came first? Like the is it held as? By the way, that song I realized the other day that is when John Cooper Clarke will come up again, I think. But I think I assume he just helped write the lyrics. And I feel like with this song, you got a bass riff and then you write it and then you do the lyrics after. I don't know. I could be wrong. I can't imagine it starting with an acoustic version or something. I don't know. I could be wrong though. I could be way off the mark. But yeah, a very special Nick song, and I would like to think he wrote the riff because it sounds like a riff you'd write on bass that the guitar would then take on, not the other way around. But who knows? Like Fake Tales feels like a song written on the guitar. Teddy Picker feels like a song written on the guitar, but I could be wrong with that. That's Adolescent. I get why now, thinking about it, it was written on the bass. It's that kind of... but this one feels like a Nick coming in going, check this out.
Balaclava too, I think. I think
Balaclava, definitely. Yeah,
that definitely all started around the bass, without a doubt.
Yeah, and D's for Dangerous, probably. But speaking of the bass and the drum, held us again, perfect accompaniment to the riff. Just nice to carry the riff. Just carries it through the drums in this. Like nothing too special. Just
a bit less flashy this week from Helders.
Oh, they look quite flashy when he was doing it live on the clip. But he always does when he's live, doesn't he? He always looks a little flashier than it sounds on the record.
He's always knocking it in.
He is. Don't know what I meant by that. I do.
I was like, that was rude, but I can't quite work out how.
He's knocking it in, you know. It is slags.
It's degenerated. Crack on.
Oh, says you, fucking hell. 10 minutes talking about nonces and philanderers. I do
What's
love
the difference, am I right, guys?
2 for the price of 1. I do love the lovely little clean riff that comes in as well. You know what the thing with that is? That guitar in the I guess it's the chorus again, not a proper established chorus, I'd say, more like just a little change. It does make me think of like an old technical film like The Wizard of Oz, that the way that guitar sounds, that kind of like a bit dreamy, that guitar, I would say. Do you think that's a Jamie Cook? Oh, well, actually, I don't know who does that bit for Jamie Cook. I think because the second verse is similar, but it has a little Jamie Cook special, doesn't it? The second
Yeah, I think it's
verse.
Jamie.
That's Jamie doing
From
the
looking
Jamie
at
Cook
that
special. But
live
who
one, I
does
think
the
it's
guitar
Jamie.
and who does the clean? Do you think? Who was it on the clip then? Can't remember. But I might be both.
The clean bit is Alex. The clean chords is Alex.
That's Alex, and then Jamie's doing the little clean Jamie Cook special on the second verse. Yeah, I like that. You know, I always thought though that it always reminds me of an alarm. Whenever I hear it, I think it sounds like an alarm going off. And I don't know if that's on purpose or not, but I just always think it's got that sound to it. The guitar for the second verse again actually makes me think of old films even more. I think the second verse, it sounds even dreamier on the second chorus, sorry, when it comes in again. I don't know whether they've like doubled the guitar up or something, but it just sounds like a little bit more clean and
There's a bit of a
lovely to me.
change, I think, yeah.
Yeah. And then a classic Arctic's heavy after clean breakdown solo that they do there. Very messy, isn't it? That that bit in this, the solo in this.
Very
Do you know
messy,
what I mean?
very raw. Yeah.
It feels like a jam or something like that, because it feels like they've all just gone mad all of a sudden. Like Helders is just doing his thing, hitting shitloads of drums in the corner. There's no kind of, it's like a kind of like a jazz improv or something, doesn't it? Like it's got.
It feels
like,
a bit like a precursor to some of the instrumental stuff, you know, stuff like Matador. Well, that always strikes me as being a bit messy as well, and I think we're starting to see that as well bleeding through.
Yeah, because it's just kind of the guitars are just doing something that's a completely different rhythm. The drums are just going mental. The bass is doing whatever. Yeah, it just doesn't feel like none of it's coherent. None of it links together, and it's only very brief, isn't it? None of it gels or makes sense, but it works. What can you say?
Yeah, everyone doing their own personal build for the solo. And if you know what piece of Arctic Monkeys media that is a reference to, listeners, then get in touch, arcticmonkeyspodcast@gmail.com.
What did you say?
A deep, their own personal build for the solo. I'm very pleased with that. That's a deep cut of an AM reference, that is.
It is. It is.
Thank you. I'm pleased with it.
Get in touch if you know. But I do.
If someone does get in touch, that's going to be like a Cinderella scenario, isn't it? Like chasing the streets of Colombia to find this person who got that joke.
First person to get in touch with that joke gets 1 month free of subscriber content. There you go.
There we go.
1 week. Take that back. 1 week free. No, 1 month free. 1 month. Unless you're already a subscriber, yeah. We'll give you a free trial for a month. Yeah, very messy solo there, but I do love the that lead bit at the end of it, the little jangly little. I can't even do it like
almost from the same school as Brainstorm again, only a completely different pitch. But there's a bit of that going in Brainstorm, the very quick that I just can't do.
Because it is a bit shit, isn't it? But for some reason, it works. I do.
If we tried it, it'd sound like on Guitar Hero when it goes wrong. It's like a clunk, clunk, and they're all booing.
Yeah, if we'd have tried something like that in our band, it would have been crap. But I guess that is what it is. Maybe you need the talent to be able to pull it off. I guess, and the confidence.
Controversial take.
You need talent to be successful. Well, that isn't true. So, you need talent to be successful. I do like Helder's drums for the last verse / outro as well. He adds the cymbals as well to make it a little bit hip hop in there. I like that. And I do like the way it ends with that guitar as well. I like that outro with the at the end and the drum stuff in here. But I did realize on listening
straight out as well after that.
Yeah, just done. I did realize on listening, because how long was it? It was 2 minutes, 3 minutes and 13 seconds long. Yeah, it's not too long, is it? It doesn't outstay its welcome. But yeah, I did realize on listening without the singing on the instrumental how simple this song is. I'd never really noticed before. I think I'd always thought it was more complex than it is, but when I listened, I was like, oh no, it is just that riff, then clean guitar, then that riff, then clean guitar, then they have a little bit of a jazz improv for 5 seconds, and then it's just that riff again and the chorus and outro. Like, I know I've described songs, but there's nothing else in there at all. It's just the same components.
Considering when we were doing the first album, it was a frequent topic that came up that a lot of it was quite simplistic musically, and I think they've gone even further back with this. I think this is even more simplistic than a lot of the first album stuff musically.
Well, like last week, we said.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
it's
yeah.
weird because they reached the most complex music that they'd done with If You Were There Beware. I think we were saying this last week, and then they've stripped it down to, and even 505 isn't that complex, but Miles's guitar is great, but it isn't like super complex, is it? So it's almost like they reached this pinnacle, and then these 3 songs aren't complex, and then forgetting the B-sides, they then go full complex for the next album, certainly.
Yeah.
The music sections of the next album are going to be a little bit more in depth, aren't they? Really. But yeah, no, I do. A good question for you though. I actually did a bit first album-esque I put here, so yeah, I got that vibe as well. But I suppose I would say it is a bit. I know you've said before. I guess maybe you're saying it's less complex than that. Some of them, but it's also kind of Teddy Picker level. Like it's not as good a song, but it's like maybe just a bit beneath Teddy Picker. Like, because that is quite simple, really. It's just that it's a really good song, so it gets away. You get more away with the simple when it's a really cool song and it's got great lyrics and stuff. Whereas this one is interesting, but doesn't
It's
pull
a
off the
weird one
simplicity.
as well, because even though it does sound as simplistic as a lot of the earlier stuff, at the same time, it's still unmistakably a song off this album. I don't know what it is. I mean, we'll get more into the
I think I
production
know why.
stuff when it comes to the wrap up, but this album, the production, it almost seems to sit along stuff like Klaxons and obviously Simian Mobile Disco, which was obviously James Ford.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we
It's
kind
of
of
its time.
It's very unmistakable that it's from this album, I think.
Well, I think there might be another reason for that, but we'll get into it with the lyrics. But I was going to ask you before we move into that, with the with last week when we said and we let the listeners choose, and I think I in the end lean towards What If You're Right First Time. But when we said about replacing The Bad Thing with What If You're Right First Time or Too Much to Ask, would you take this one off? Would you have What If You're Right First Time, Too Much to Ask, 505?
No, I'd keep this on.
Leave it on.
I'd keep this on.
I'm leaning
I
towards
think,
that.
they've got 505 for the ballady lyrics. I think there's a nice little love song. I think they've got 505 for that. Too much. Too much to ask.
It's not remove worthy, is it? It's not remove worthy.
No, it's a good tune. This, yeah. I mean, it's not that we're saying The Bad Thing was a bad tune, but in comparison to that,
it is quite a bad tune.
Really.
It is a bit of a bad tune. It's not a bad tune for like The Enemy or something. I guess. Even some of their songs on the first album are better, let's be honest, but I don't know. Maybe not, actually. Maybe that's unfair to The Bad Thing. I don't know.
Stay at home with Richard and Judy.
I'm so sick. I actually did really like the first Enemy album, to be fair.
I love the first album. Yeah.
But yeah, no. Alex's voice in this one is a bit more singy than rapping again. Good vocals for the chorus when he goes a bit monotone for the chorus, which is interesting. He does a different thing he's not done before, where he just kind of drops his voice down to like sleep in a city that never wakes up, you know. So yeah, the lyrics then. So I think, unless I'm wrong, I'm going to say, so the Old Yellow Bricks is Andy. Andy is the Old Yellow Bricks. Is that accepted to say? Is that what most people accept this song to be about? I think about Andy leaving the band and missing home, etc.
Sorry, I do love how the song both starts and ends with a reference to Wizard of Oz as well. So obviously the yellow brick road leads to Emerald City, I think, in Wizard of Oz, and
Yes.
the song at the song at that part of the film is all about leaving your hometown for something new. So
Well,
I don't know
yeah.
how people are still banging their heads against this idea that it's not about Andy. Like the amount
Well, I
of
mean,
stuff I've seen while researching.
I
is
think
just
why. I think I know why they might be. Only, but and we'll get into it in a minute as we get to that part of the lyrics. But yeah, but it's quite clear because all Yellow Bricks, like you say, it's a reference to obviously the Wizard of Oz, yeah. So, which I guess is about wanting to escape. She wants to escape at the start, doesn't she? Getting in a parallel universe, and they've come up again. But then realizing you want the comfort of home, which is what I guess Andy did. So very clever comparison of Alex there to make that to the Wizard of Oz. But Old Yellow Brick. The reason why I think you feel as well it fits with the album is part of the lyrics because you've got this theme of fame and escape, and the cover, the artwork. We always said it fits like that. D's for Dangerous, Parallel Universe, the front cover vibes like This House is a Circus. It fits that mold of the artwork, and this one as well makes me think of the artwork. I think just because it's this parallel weird vibe to it, and this song is about that. I don't know. It just fits. The artwork on this album is perfectly matched to the album. Like, and I wouldn't say that for all of them. I think they all work. I like them all. The artwork covers. I think Humbug works and does good. I can say Humbug does give a vibe of the album, but I wouldn't say I like the Second Sea cover for its simplicity and it works. But I wouldn't say, well, it gives me. I think of the cover when I listen to any of the music, whereas I do think about the artwork when I listen to some of these songs usually. So there is a difference there. But yeah, do you think like the rest of the band had different views on they wanted to explore the world then, and he didn't have them, I guess, because Helder said recently in an interview I heard that he'd never tire at all in seeing the world, and I guess Andy just didn't see it that way.
I suppose it's not for, and at that age as well, when you're 18, 19, you don't have a fucking clue what you want, do you? Really? So maybe if they'd had this ascent that they had like a few years later, then it might have been different. But for me, I'd jump at the opportunity myself. But
you see,
not everyone's.
It's weird that because I guess it's different types of people. Some people go, yeah, I get why Andy, like to live in his hometown and for comfort. I don't. I'm completely not like that. I'm like, Jesus, fucking hell, he gave up that chance. Are you mental? But not. I know he's got mental health issues actually, so I didn't mean that sound like that. But we use mental differently here.
Yeah.
It's not an offensive.
But they have to, otherwise we'd go mental.
I don't know. I see. It's weird that you say that because I sometimes when I was listening to it today, it did make me think of you a bit. I see because we both grew up in similar environments, not too far away from each other, but you're more comfortable staying in that, whereas I'm always fighting to get out. So
that's the thing. Because
I'm more comfortable
I was out of it for about 15 years, but now I've come back. I don't really want to be, because I've not come back for like 15 years, pretty much. So.
Well, I mean, even though I say I'm out, I mean, it isn't. We didn't get too far away. But,
no.
It's not like we lived in Indonesia or something 15 years and you've just come back, is it?
Can't do that since the charges.
Yeah, you and Gary sharing a cell. I wouldn't. That's why you still like Rock and Roll Part 2. I wouldn't. Yeah, I just don't. I'm still now desperate. If I could move, if I had some way of moving. There was a period of time a couple of years ago I was desperately trying to convince my boss to set up an LA office just so I could go ahead out like just this escape. You're more comfortable as an English man in a working class English town than I am. I think I'm always railing against it. I'm not saying I'm denying my roots or anything, but I'm just always railing against. There's something to me, what always is, and I had this conversation with someone once who bought a house in Manchester, and they're like, why don't you own a house or buy a house? And I'm like, I don't know, I guess I'm just, I said to them, do you think it's not really depressing, the thought that there's a whole world out there and you're going to live and die in the same town? To quote The Enemy again, you're going to live and die in the same place you were born. And he was like, no, it doesn't really bother me. And I'm like, it really bothers me to think that you're going to just live and die in this one place on such a big space Like,
Yeah,
it's a bit depressing to me that you've not
having my
got
own
anywhere.
house and basically buying a load of bricks to die in. That just petrifies me. That's what I think.
Yeah, in the same. I wouldn't mind that somewhere else though, if I'd gone and done something and all that. But like, yeah, to just be in the same to be like within the same 20-mile radius that you were born and die there is just really depressing to me. But I'm not saying that's the right or the wrong way. It's just a personal opinion. But
I suppose
it scares me.
When they first got the band together, maybe for Andy, it was just hanging out with his mates, playing the odd gig and stuff.
I think that's what happened.
I mean,
he was probably
if he
reluctant for it to take off,
like The Enemy. If he was to become a band like The Enemy, that's probably perfect for him. Like, he'd probably be quite happy with that. You go on the odd tour and stuff. You're not going like jetting all around the world and stuff. But it was very clear with Arctic Monkeys that that's the way it was going very early on.
Well, I think he was the main
it's not
component.
like he strung anyone along either. It seemed to be.
Well, I think he was the main
quick.
component of perhaps that, not because they did reluctantly become successful and signed to a label. I think he might have been one of the main ones not wanting that, and Alex and Matt might have seemed like they didn't want that, and Jamie, but they were probably just also, skeptical of the industry, so they wanted to make sure it was right, like with Domino. But I think when you hear things like Matt and Alex used to turn up to gigs and they were the only band that would come and do the sound check properly and find stuff, there was always a keen interest of making it work and making it successful, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think he wouldn't I don't think he did. I think you're right. I think he just wanted to he liked being big in Sheffield and being a local celebrity and doing this stuff. But once it became big and he had to be away all the time, he clearly didn't like that. And but I mean, but you say that about him not leading them a bit, but I do feel like so. So the first line is "Old Yellow Bricks loves a risk, quite the escapologist." Great word. So is the risk, almost akin to totalitarian, right? Is the risk? So he says loves a risk, quite the escapologist. The risk is the fact that he's risked the band in that way by him leaving, because it could have all crumbled when he left. It could have all fell apart if they didn't find someone to step in. Because obviously he's manufactured himself an out. Because otherwise, what would loves a risk be quite the escapologist be referring to?
Well, I'm assuming you're lyrics, aren't you? Well, you are, because we discussed it last week.
Spotify.
Yeah. So the lyrics elsewhere, I've not looked at the Spotify ones yet, but elsewhere they have "love's a risk" with "love E''s." So love is a risk. But I don't think that's what.
It is apostrophe. Yeah, no, it is. Well, it is on Spotify.
It is apostrophe. Yeah. So that changes it then.
Does the apostrophe automatically make it love is?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, love is a risk. Yeah, but what does that mean?
So for me, love is the band, but it's a risk for him. That's the way I read it.
It doesn't make sense to me that in meaning that would change the context. I'm not saying that isn't it, but I'm just saying I have to rethink the context of the line, because love is a risk wouldn't mean
based on how it's spelled, and that's the only logical conclusion.
No, I know, but that doesn't then mean what you're saying it means. We'd have to recontextualize the line. I mean,
it'd be love is a risk, as in the band is love, the band is a risk. That's how I'm seeing it.
So you're thinking the word love is a metaphor for the band.
Well, it has to be. If that apostrophe is there, it has to be. If that apostrophe is canon and is meant to be there,
well, it doesn't have to be.
Well.
It doesn't have to be. You don't know. Yeah, but no, the apostrophe is. But you don't know that isn't canon. The fact that love means the band isn't canon, is it? That's your opinion.
No, I'm not saying that's canon, but I'm saying if the apostrophe is canon, if the apostrophe is how it was written down.
I'm not disputing the fucking apostrophe. I'm disputing your interpretation that means that the word love means the band.
No, I didn't say that. I said that's the first thing that comes to fucking mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the first. Yeah, but I'm not
saying
that.
I'm saying that doesn't really. I don't know. I don't
exactly.
like. What I'm saying is I don't like that.
I agreed with you. But it's apostrophe S at the end of the day. If that's what's on the lyric sheet in the thing.
Yeah, but that's why I keep saying I'd have to recontextualize what that line means. Because he uses love again later in the song, doesn't he?
Yeah. So you don't know what you're running away from. So it could even be love. Like did you say before about the northern colloquialism saying, all right, love?
What if he's just saying love is but then that would have to change that line later on, and that would, I think the fact that he says love and she is what makes people not think it's about Andy, because he's not come out and said he or anything. People think, why is he doing that? I think he's just done that to mask what it's really about. But
Yeah.
But love is a risk to me would tell me he's saying that love is a risk, which would make me think that because we don't know this is about Andy, do we? We're assuming it, but we don't have any factual evidence.
But it seems to be it seems to be.
I know, but now that you've laid that apostrophe bombshell, I'm starting to think it's about a girl escaping a person escaping a relationship now, and it's not about Andy.
That's what most people tend to think, and that's the lyrics do fit that. But I think it's just got into canon over the years that it's about Andy, and people have just accepted that. But I mean, it's more a case of particular lines, like suggesting that it could be a dig at
But
Andy,
also, if you
rather
wrote
than
it with the
whole-
Rev, now you've got me rethinking it because if the Reverend wrote it as well, why would he be writing a song about Andy? Maybe it is about a woman or someone that gets out of a relationship, because that is part of his wheelhouse as well. The Reverend writing songs about relationships that are going to shit. Yeah. Now I like the song even less, because the only reason I really liked it was because it was about Andy, and I thought that was a really cool way of him putting that it was part of a relationship, you know. So now as we go, we're gonna have to do both versions. So quite the escapologist either means somebody who's good at getting out of relationships, or it's about Andy leaving. Look so miffed when you wished for 1,000 places better than this. So I mean, I'd always, because I'd thought it was about Andy, I thought that was sort of saying when they were discussing leaving and getting out, when they were making it successful, that he wouldn't like that. He'd kind of turn his nose up or pull his face at that because he loves Sheffield and loves being local and all that. Which definitely tells me that if it is about him, he wouldn't have worked out in the band's direction for albums going onwards. So it's a good thing ultimately that he did leave, because if he's already pulling his face about them, you know, escaping and not wanting that, then he's not going to be happy when they go, we should go to the desert for 6 months with Josh Homme, or should we do this and that? So
See, if you think of it as like, if we're going to cling on to it being about Andy route, then you've got, so when they were touring the US, he missed home, missed his girlfriend. New York obviously is known as the city that never sleeps, so it's obviously like a tongue-in-cheek reversal saying a city that never wakes up about Sheffield. But then so about Andy being blinded by nostalgia and all that. Then at the end, he says Dorothy was right though, and what Dorothy was famous for saying was, "There's no place like home." So it could be
obviously we know that
for some people, that's all I
for jumping ahead.
That's what's best. No, but I'm just trying to.
But all of that could also apply for somebody
exactly,
that's leaving a relationship. So
bloody mystery wrapped up in an enigma here. This is horrible.
So what if when he wrote it originally with the Reverend, it was about that, and then he thought, oh, this applies to the Andy situation, and he changed a few lines to allude to that. That's also a possibility, isn't it? That he's done that, because some of it does seem like because if the relationship's about someone leaving, someone being in a small town in a relationship, and one of them wants to get out, and the other one pulls the face, looks so miffed. That's like, okay, one of you wants to leave, the other one doesn't, and they pull the face. But I think that looks so miffed when you're a foul person better than this applies better to Andy. It sounds better when you're thinking about Andy than it does about a couple, and one of them wants to get out. I think
that'd be, if it was a couple. That's kind of something that's already been explored on this album. Like stuff like only ones who know that.
That's another reason why it could be.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you've already nailed that whole,
because the next song is about
nothing's gonna.
A relationship that's struggling.
It's thrown a lot of stuff up. Because
the next one is, you're a fugitive, but you don't know what you're running from. You can't kid us, and you couldn't trick anyone. Houdini, love, you don't know what you're running away from. And that always confused me, the female illusions, but I just always thought maybe he's just masking what it's really about. Yeah. But again, if it is just straightforward about, I'm fast losing. I'm fast losing my interest in this song, because I'm becoming apparent that it's not about Andy, and then it's just about someone that wants to get out of a small town, and the other person in the relationship isn't happy about that or whatever. And I don't think that's as interesting, because it was already not great. So, but
that's the bad thing.
Yeah, at least I knew that was shit, going into it. Anticipation has the disappointment to set you up. But you can't kid us. Houdini, love, you don't know what you're running away from. So actually, like, because that didn't make because in that instance, he's saying obviously it's like back when he felt it's almost like he felt his desire to get out was misplaced. So it's like Andy's away with the band and he's unhappy and he wants to get away. So he's the fugitive that's on the run, but he doesn't know what he's running away from. And so it's like he's confused. He's gone back, but he doesn't really know why. He's there. Alex is kind of assuming in those lyrics, if it is about Andy, that Andy's going to come to regret it. Basically, that he's made a rash decision. He's come to regret it. Again, could apply to a relationship, as well.
This is horrible.
Well, it's one or the other, isn't it? I guess we just have to do both versions and let people. But the apostrophe has really blown a lid on the song. It's really changed my opinion of it, and not in a good way. So unless someone can, I can't on the fly think of another explanation for the apostrophe being there. It's about unless our theory that he wrote this song, some of it with the Reverend, and it was about one thing, and then he's kind of transposed it a bit to make it about Andy, because he thought, because maybe Andy left after this was written, and he thought, this kind of weirdly applies to Andy, and maybe he changed it. Who knows?
That sounds very realistic. That it started off as one thing and then became another.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just sort of made up conjecture, isn't it? Anyway, but we think. I mean, some of them we know, and some of them are quite obvious, but this one we never knew it was about Andy. Maybe, but I think the fact that if it started out as one song, and then that's why some of the lyrics don't quite fit because he didn't change some of them and he kept them how they were. I don't know, and do you think they don't play it live because the Reverend gets a slice?
what a sizable slice that'll be.
No, but so do you think if that was about, if it is about Andy and that kind of lyric, do you think Alex was still a bit pissed about it at this point then? Because they're a bit scathing, aren't they? He's a bit like, you're going to come to regret this, son.
When did it stop? When was the last time it was played live?
2015.
Would that not be around the he went to Andy's wedding and had a bit of a
let's not go. Let's not. Let's not start. We're already in the weeds with this one. Let's not start.
Yeah.
Let's not start in
a bit Matty Healy and Taylor Swift, hasn't it?
I think it was definitely before Tranquility, Andy's wedding. So it was sometime during the AM tour and post tour period. I think. So yeah, probably was.
That's my half-baked theory.
So they stopped playing it live.
Stop playing this now. We've said all that needs to be said.
Yeah, but I don't think they would have been still angry about it in 2015. I reckon they'd got over it by that Christmas, to be honest, because it all worked out with Nick, didn't it? If it's even fucking about that. So, considering we don't know now, we're not even sure ourselves that it's about Andy, after being quite sure about it. I don't think we can then attach on that they made up at a wedding and that's why they stopped playing it live. So yeah, but it does feel like but if it is about that, it feels like at this point he was scathing about either that or the relationship still, because then the next line is, who wants to sleep in the city that never wakes up? It's the opposite, isn't it? It's the opposite, isn't it? Because it's the city that never wakes up, not the city that sleeps up. So it's a joke that a place like New York is a city that never sleeps, but Sheffield is a place that never wakes up, or these kind of shit towns in England. Not just Sheffield, not saying it's shit town, but Manchester's a shit town, Stockport's a shit town, Sheffield's a shit town. We're all in shit towns before we get abuse from anyone from Sheffield.
Sheffield's probably one of my most favourite of the shit towns.
Yeah, but but it's not
not New the Sheffield Tourist board. There,
basically, to sum up, it's not New York, though, is it?
That's true. Your geography GCSE coming handy there.
Do you think I took geography GCSE? Fuck that. Who would want to stay in one of these towns and be trapped? My geography is famous and notorious. I know in this country, I know more America. This is how desperate I am to get out of this country that I hate. I know more about American. I could name you more places where they are on an American map than I could on a British map easily. Yeah. I don't know where anywhere is in this country because I don't care. I only know from bits I know, like from seeing stuff. But like, I mean, I couldn't tell you. If someone said point to, I don't know, name a place, I wouldn't. Of a choice few, I would, and others I wouldn't. I just don't care.
If it weren't for the football, I'd know none. But then there's still places like Peterborough and Oxford where I could not tell you where they are. Peterborough, Oxford, Cambridge, not got a clue, mate.
No, the only reason I now could a little bit is because I used to work in a job where I used to book appointments for sales reps on the road. So I had to But even then, I just use Google Maps and put the postcode in, so it wouldn't really. But so just check there's near enough to that one. But yeah, I just don't have any interest in this country. Unless I can go live in York, and that would be the only place I'd accept to live in if I have to
Just
stay in
hate
this
the
country.
general
It's
public,
York.
Lynn.
York's lovely. It's not like being in this country. It's like a different world. It's like going through platform 9 3/4, isn't it? Into
It is, isn't
Diagon
it? It's like
Alley,
being in,
York.
Diagon
It
Alley,
actually is. It actually
yeah.
is.
And then you come to Stockport, and it's like Nocturne Alley.
That's true, because if you were to compare the shambles, the bit with the in York to the what's it called, what's the
Toothless
bit?
men offering you magic amulets.
what are they called on the road?
Banks.
On the underbank in Stockport. They
Yeah.
both have cobbles to the York shambles. It is like the Nocturne Alley version. That's amazing. If I was a stand-up comedian, I could do that bit in York.
And Stockport.
Yeah, Stockport. I think they take too kindly to the part where they're the bottom of the
They
joke.
would
In
do
York,
it
they'd
if
quite
I
like
did
it.
it. They would do it if one of the most famous sons did it.
Excuse me, and I turn around and go, hang on, you're like closer to growing up wise, closer to middle class than I probably was. So I've got the stake on the working class roots more. I've just sold out that.
I mean, my mum was a
You
dinner
grew up
lady.
on a
and my
council
dad
estate,
retired
did you?
in 1998. No, that's
I
true.
grew up on a really rough
Yeah,
council estate in a single parent family. What?
I'm closer to working class than middle class, though. I'm like,
You
I'm
are, but
like,
I'm comparing it to my upbringing, not
Oh, yeah.
in Stockport.
Yeah.
So mine was more working class. So if you turn around and turned up me the card, I'd be like, hang on, I've still got me working class card.
You're not taking that off me yet.
I try and fucking give it away, but I can't seem to. Yeah. So yeah, I am on board, like we said earlier, with the whole who wants to sleep in a city that never wakes up. But again, that's my whole mantra of not wanting. Why would you want to live in here for the rest of your life? Like, there's so many places. Like, that's the thing with America. I'm not saying America's a better country to live in. It certainly actually isn't a better country to live in terms of healthcare and things like that. But there's just more choice, yeah. And it's just like I'm one that would much rather see a rocky plains every day than see a like what we see or even the country here. I'm much more.
My dream house in America would be Hank's house in Breaking Bad.
Oh, just one of those.
Yeah, just
they're big on the
desert.
Well, they have like bungalows in America more so, don't they? They have a lot of bungalows, don't they, to live in? Which here we kind of just put old people in, but in America it's like everyone lives in. Well, I prefer a bungalow as well. I think I'm not really. That's why I prefer flats to houses. I don't want stairs. Why do we need stairs? Let's just have everything on one floor.
Yeah.
Saves a lot of hassle. No slipping down them either. So do you think he puts? So what I was going to say, do you think he puts that as female just to mask what it's really about, or are we potentially wrong and it's about a girlfriend? So
no,
I was ahead of the curve.
I'm still going down the Andy route.
I can't now. The apostrophe's ruined it for me because I have to
put any store in the apostrophe.
Well, we can do both. We don't really have to settle on what either is, but I can't in good conscience get because there's one line in the song that I never understood how it could be relate to Andy. I only thought of one way, and that's the next one, which is she was enraged by the way that the emperor puts traps in the cage. Now, when you're thinking about that being about a relationship, you could say she was enraged by the way that you lay traps to kind of try and get out of it. But which is a kind of humbuggy line, actually. I always thought that it's a bit potion approaching or something like that. But you can imagine that, couldn't you? Like singing, she was enraged the way the emperor puts traps in the cage. But but if it was relating to Andy, the only way I could see that relating is like that's like how Andy might be annoyed about the downsides of fame. Maybe
he's stuck on a tour bus, literally being trapped in a cage.
So, but then I thought, why would he say she though? Because saying love could easily be because men do say love to other men, but then the fact that she was enraged made me go, that's a bit of a weird thing, unless he is just masking it. But now with the whole revelations,
it's almost a little. It could also be a little jokey, snippy thing. Have you never had that when you're in a pub with a group of mates and then you're waiting for one person to turn up late, and when they do turn up late, it'll be like, oh, here she is. Like even if it's just like a little snippy, little.
I guess.
I mean, it's
Oh,
a
like
stretch,
she was
but-
enraged. Oh no, I could.
So,
like she was
which
enraged.
would also fit with the. We should also fit it being with Andy if we take into account the Houdini love bit, because that's another of that, another
Love.
example of that type of snippiness.
Oh, love.
All right, love. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you could be right there. That's true. That is true. You've got that. You pulled that back. And then obviously, but then again, and the day she being dull leads to nights reading beer bottles. Reminds me of friends.
What
Reminds
is
me
it?
of friends
What
that
have
with
you got
Mike.
on yours?
I've got a
Oh,
sentence that doesn't really make sense. I always thought it was, and the days she deemed dull, but
I believe that's
on,
what it is.
on Spotify though. So we're going against Spotify now because I don't know where we're going to believe. If
We're going to have to, mate.
We can't. They must be the official lyrics because they pay a lot of money to have those songs and all the information to go with them. So, yeah, but we must go with Spotify over internet type-ins, surely.
I mean, I searched for the Libertines on Spotify the other week, and it came up with a picture of Isaac Hayes. So I don't know.
Well,
what to tell you, mate.
that's your searching because I frequently search for Libertines and they come up on mine, so I don't know what's going on.
Maybe the algorithms have gone to shit. But no, I mean, I'm on Genius at the moment, and
Genius, yeah, we can't trust that because anyone can annotate that. We don't trust
I know,
Genius. I refuse
know,
to. Genius is like relying on Wikipedia. It's not a failsafe. So if we're going to pick one to go with, we have to go with Spotify. Been loads of times where Alex said stuff that I was surprised to find out what he actually said. So like, because on Genius, the person typing that up is doing what we've done and they've heard it and typed it up as they've heard it. So that doesn't mean that we can't mishear it. And he's saying, because the line that they've got is, and the days she being dull leads to nights reading beer bottles.
it just makes no sense. I'm not having it. I think Spotify have failed us. It might just be a isolated event, but because again, I know you can submit lyrics yourself on Genius, but if people have read the lyrics in the record sleeve and then just typed them up from that, then they're gonna.
I think we're gonna have to switch to record sleeve. I'm gonna have to pull the vinyl in every week and read them off that. I'll type them off my vinyl on the notes if the lyrics are on there. I'll do that. How long would it
take you to
go get it and see
now? Because I'm dying here, man. I'm dying.
Well, it'll take me 5 seconds, and in the lyrics, in the actual episode, it'll take me just like that. But I don't know if it does have a lyrics bit in it. They normally do, don't they?
Yeah, usually.
As his poem. I mean that quote. Might not, because you can't even get in that.
Oh, this is appalling.
So there is no confirming unless we have the original CD, which I actually do somewhere.
I do somewhere as well. Yeah.
But it's in a box in Vicky's mum's spare room. It'll take me a while to go and get that. So
yeah, it's not worth it, mate. Wait for next week.
Yeah, odd that. Maybe someone will. Well, then no one will actually know. I mean, I still think I still think we've got to go with Spotify over Genius. It's got more credibility by far. I do that when I'm bored, like read or peel the beer bottle as well. Does remind me of Friends with Mike and Ross. Yeah, they gotta read the news and just reading the different types of beer on the back. But yeah, yeah. I mean, that is when you're bored in it that you start reading the bottle. That is really when you're bored, when you sit there reading the back of a beer bottle. That's when you know the night's not going well.
What is the beer that Ross and Mike drink? Little bonus question for you.
They say it's a lager, don't they?
It's a lager.
They read it and he goes, it's because they say lager really weird. They go
lager.
Boddingtons? No, because I always think not Boddingtons. That's the one in the London one that is mentioned. Yeah, no, and it's not a lager.
Boddingtons.
Which is a drink they definitely wouldn't have liked.
No, they definitely wouldn't have been.
And then not like huge beer drinkers. They come over drink Boddingtons.
Certainly not enough to walk back to London for another frosty one of those bad boys.
Or over London pub. No, I wouldn't. But I can't remember. No, I can't remember.
It's Foster's in bottles.
Oh, so it's not even English. Foster's is hanging.
Yeah, but it is generally
Australian beer.
Like any English. But it's generally seen as an English beer, isn't it now? Just because it's it's the first thing you drink when you're like 15, 16, in it, and it's brewed over here.
No.
Like
yeah, but it's not seen as but Heineken's brewed in Manchester, but we don't think of it in English beer, do we?
No, but what I mean is like the Australians don't even take ownership of Foster's or anything. Like,
All
you
the
think
marketing is geared around being Australian. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's Australian
So
made,
that
but
is-
they barely drink. They barely drink it in Australia because they recognise.
No, I know,
about
but
50
when
years
you
ago
say
how
it's-
shit it was, so you're going to see it drank over here more than you're going to see it drank
I
in
know,
Australia.
but
or
that
anywhere
doesn't
else.
just because something's had over here somewhere more doesn't mean it's part of that country. That's like saying, you know,
No, but I
other,
mean, it's more of an
other
English
countries are
person
more.
beer than an Australian person beer now. You're more likely to see English teenagers drinking it than you are like anyone from Australia.
You're at a loss just because it wasn't all that you thought it was. Self-explanatory, really. There, whether that be a relationship or Andy. Then repeat, then outro. A little admission from Alex upon reflection there at the end that maybe being back home is great. So I know I said he wants to sleep in the city that never wakes up, but Dorothy was right though. I disagree. I don't think she was. I mean, it is nice. I guess that alludes to like when you're away for a while. Like, even though I'm not like thingy, but if I was away for a few years and then came back to Manchester, maybe I'd have that feeling of back home. I don't know if I would, but I understand that why people do have that. I don't think I would really come back and be like, back home. And I don't think Arctic Monkeys have that anymore. I feel like when they go back home to Sheffield, that they're like, that Alex is back home. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
At the airport, breathe it in, boys.
The smell of the full Monty.
The smell of steel. I don't know. But I do get that some people get that where they want to be away and they get away, but then when they get home, it's a nice feeling, even if just for a bit, and then go back on the road again. But Dorothy, but it is a clever line. But Dorothy was right there, as in there's no place like home and stuff.
She'd have shit shoes on though, didn't she?
Depends.
Them
If you like that kind of thing.
Minging.
Yeah, well, it depends what you like in it. Some people might think they're beautiful, Nick.
True enough. Yeah. People like some weird shit, man.
Yeah, so he's done his switching the narrative thing again. He hasn't done that for a while, has he? Where he says something at one song and then at the end he reveals like that he perhaps has a different opinion, or turns this on himself. He says, "Yeah, maybe he was right. He hasn't done that for a while." But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one because obviously we're not quite sure now. It's the first time where I've not really been sure what it's about.
Yeah,
since we've done it.
Don't like it.
No, because if it is just because here's how I see the song. It's catchy. Doesn't blow me away, but then it's amplified to up here by the fact that it's about Andy. It's very personal and very clever the way he's done it to the Wizard of Oz. If it's just then about someone wanting to get out of a town and they're in a relationship and the other one wants to stay at home, then that just kind of makes me go, okay, it's kind of clever to put that to Wizard of Oz, but also if it is about that, then it's kind of ruined it's made me think less of the song overall, I think, by the end. So I hope it is about Andy, but we'll never know, I guess. And I guess a lot of the lyric, I guess there's more evidence that it's not about Andy than there is with the love and the she's and the apostrophe and all that crap. So I reckon it's and also he's referred So I guess it would be more. And it's just something that we've all thought as fans, and maybe it's not necessarily true. I don't know.
And if we've learned anything from it, then it's the fact.
Because it's definitely a natural thought we've all had then, isn't it? Apart from some people that have read it on forums, but I don't really do that. So I remember having this thought quite early on. So we all naturally had a thought that it was about that for some reason.
And then I think so many people had that thought that it's just gone into common parlance, hasn't it? It's just become the thing now.
Maybe it is. But maybe there was also an inciting incident that made us think about that. Maybe there's some enemy interview or some lost interview that we have no way of getting now that we don't remember that made everyone think that someone said something. I don't think he would have said that publicly, though, to be honest, that it was about Andy, so probably not. But yeah, it's weird that we all had that same thought because all the fans have kind of rallied that and then it's snowballed. And
it's just generally assumed that that's what it's about.
Yeah, and I hope it is, because otherwise it's all right, isn't it?
What are you doing, lads? Following the bad thing up with this?
Yeah, well. But yeah, I hope it is about that. But yeah, it's ruined. Took a little bit of enthusiasm out of the song. A little bit finding that out. You had to
Taking
point
a
out the
nosedive
apostrophe,
now,
didn't you?
innit?
You couldn't have just let me live in a dream world, could you? You had to
That's-
point out the
excuse-
apostrophe.
Excuse me for pointing out the correct format of the lyrics. Well, if we've learned anything
Oh
from
well,
this,
well.
we're getting the CD out.
Excuse me for pointing out the part of the lyrics when you you stubbornly stick into what you think it is over, something that we don't know is right or wrong.
I'm open, but I still think there's enough that it's about Andy. But we'll put it in the poll anyway. That can be the big poll for this episode. So if you listen on Spotify, then you get access to a little poll that we put on the episode, and this will be the poll for the. You'll listen, you've seen it.
This is the first time I've had my mind changed though, because I actually now think it's not about Andy, and it is just about a couple and a woman. I've actually changed my mind completely.
I'm going down the avenue of him writing it about a girl with Reverend John Misty, and then coming back to it with the stuff that was going on with Andy, and realizing that some of it applies to both, and then possibly writing some of the rest around that. I'm going for the combination.
I appreciate that,
but
that is just something that I made up 20 minutes ago, though, so I can't really say that that's like I just
but that seems realistic. It does seem like
it seems realistic in our heads, but
he'd get involved in.
That's not like yeah, and I do think that half that's right. But the bit where Alex then thought it seemed a bit like the Andy situation and changed the lyrics slightly to fit that is the bit where that is just complete made up fantasy. So
absolutely,
I get it, yeah.
But so in my head canon, that's what's happened.
So I started out the podcast much like you should do. I've started out thinking one thing in much way that when I first I for years thought that the I'm not saying it's the same thing, but that the Madeleine McCann parents had been involved in a murder. And then I watched the Netflix documentary. I saw the Year of Beautiful Evidence that I didn't know that it quite clearly wasn't them, and I changed my mind. And with this song, I started out thinking it was about Andy, and now there's been a couple of different things that have added up to the point where now I think, well, actually, it would be wrong of me to move forward on that path. So now I have to accept that I was wrong, and it's quite clearly about a relationship rather than Andy.
So what we can say from that is that Andy knows what happened to Maddie. Is that what you're saying, Dan?
Where was he in 2007? We had to leave the band quick. I don't.
Not on tour with Arctic Monkeys, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's the first time on the podcast I've had my mind changed about what a song is about throughout the process, though. So there is that. It's a first. Because there's been two other songs where we've disagreed on them, but you haven't changed my mind. But this one has changed my mind, and it's not that one of us has changed each other's mind, but the facts have changed my mind.
How about
Let's
that?
do the favorite lyric.
Too busy with the mind on clever lines.
Mine is, I know I said who wants to sleep in the city that never wakes up, but Dorothy was right though, because I think it's very clever. Or it was when I thought it was about Andy. When I wrote this but if it's about a girl in a relationship, then that is still
it's still a great line, yeah.
Either way,
it's possibly one of the top lines on the album as well, regardless of what it's about. I think that's up there. That's up there as one of my abiding lines when I think of this album. And
it comes to the forefront. It comes to the forefront of my mind when I think of this album. Yeah, definitely. It's funny that even on songs that you don't really like, there's a line that stands out more than others. I think there was another song that had that on this album, actually, where one of the lines just comes to my head, but it's not a song I listen to a lot. I can't think what it was. It might have been one off Balaclava or D is for Dangerous, but I can't remember. But yeah, that is a good line. I like that one. There is a few good lines in this song. I just think the more interesting lines if they are about Andy than about the other thing, but they're still well written lines. And if we'd never heard the Andy thing, I wonder if it would affect our opinion. We might think, oh, there's a clever song about a relationship with someone getting... But it feels like if it is about a relationship, it feels like a very personal situation, and some of the lyrics don't really make sense unless it's personal. So whereas when you've got the Andy thing, you can understand it because you feel like you've invited behind the curtain and you've seen what it's about there. Whereas, yeah, I don't know. I guess we're a bit like the people that think... if people are wrong, there was someone that thought another song was about Alexa on something, and then I pointed out that he had
pointed out
Oh no,
calendars.
they thought it was about Taylor, I think, and I pointed out that he wasn't with Taylor, then he was with someone else or something like that. Anyway, I can't remember what it was. But yeah, so people are wrong. Maybe we're wrong. We'll find out. Maybe someone will have some more insight. If you do have an insight, let us know.
Yeah.
If you remember something.
If you have access to any old NMEs and stuff that have interviews in and give you a little track by track, then we're all for it.
I do actually somewhere as well.
Did they not do a favourite worst nightmare thing for XFM or something?
They did it was NM. They did a track by track thing in NME. I've still got it somewhere, but it's not here. So, should we do our favourite musical moment?
Let's do exactly that.
Might sound in your ear that make you get up and down.
Probably the clean guitar, actually. I really like the clean guitar when it
really?
comes in. Yeah, I like that moment. It's a nice little. I like the way it sounds. Reminds me of an old film, Technicolor film. I like that.
Oh yeah, yes. I've never really paired it with that.
On that, the lyric does match the sound because if it is blinded, it does sound like. But the guitar sounds like a blinding light to me. That kind of like a gentle one, but you know, when I hear that guitar strum and the way it sounds, it makes me think of light. I don't know why. Maybe the lyrics created that, but that's just how I think of it. It makes me picture a blinding light.
It goes on to the whole shimmering thing as well that we said about Jamie's guitar as well. Because light
they usually do that somewhere. They have a little sounds like what they're saying a little bit.
Yeah.
Yours?
It's like musical onomatopoeia.
Yours?
I've gone for that was going to be mine, the clean guitars, but then about an hour before we kicked off, I moved to the breakdown at the end because I found myself even on like.
Did you mean the very end?
This week. Yeah.
The jangly when it ends.
I love it. I find myself, even though I've listened to it like 30 or 40 times this week, I still find myself getting very excited for that part of the tune. That was a musical part that I found myself getting excited for, like in anticipation for it. So it had to be that.
Yeah, I do really like the end. Not in that catty way again, like I said the other last week. Just I really like
more
the
pleasurable
end,
than
the way it ends. Both of these songs have good ends, actually. To be fair, on the Bad Thing and this, I like the way they end. I do have a little hot take, or it's more a question, I guess.
She flicks a red hot revelation off the tip of her toe.
Is this the worst, most liked Arctic Monkey song? I was trying to think of what is a kind of a well-liked song that a lot of people like and would like to hear. Is this like the worst? So like kind of like the best of a bad bunch, I guess. Because I'm trying to think. The Bad Thing isn't liked, so that doesn't count. Off Humbug, I think perhaps Vampires doesn't have enough likedness to it for people to say that, or you probably. I think on Humbug, people that don't like that really don't like it. I don't think there's like one that people. Suck It and See, Brick by Brick maybe could be a contender for that worst, most liked song. But no, because it isn't worse. Because I think it's a good song.
It is a good song. It's a good little rock and roll tune. But I think a lot of the people going on about how much they like it, I think they're doing it purely ironically. I'm convinced.
What, Brick by Brick?
Yeah.
I really like Brick by Brick. Do you think?
No, there's almost like an online cult that's built around it now.
Okay.
It's just like all jokes and shit like that. So I'm convinced they're just doing it.
They will be probably.
It's a good tune, Brick by Brick. I was delighted when he played Glastonbury 2013.
There's not any bad songs that would qualify as the worst, most liked, I don't think. Tranquility, again, very divisive, so. And the car, divisive, so I think this is. I can't think of another song that a lot of people like that isn't that great by them.
No, there's nothing.
So this could be the worst, most liked Arctic Monkey song.
I'll just make a note of that to put in the episode description.
Worst, most liked. My favourite worst nightmare, you might say. Whee.
Hey. Oh, indeed. Oh, that rounded it off nicely there. And we will be rounding off Favourite Worst Nightmare next week. Just as we have rounded off tonight the penultimate track on the album, Old Yellow Bricks. What are we back with next?
Oops, sorry.
Piano.
No, sorry.
Sam's going a bit tranquility there. Sorry. To apologise, everyone. He's going to be building a lunar base out of cardboard next. What are we doing next week, mate?
Oh, Nick, I'd find my way to record next week's pod, whether it be a 7-hour flight or a 45-minute drive. In my imagination, you're waiting, lying on your side. Oh, oops, sorry, Freudian slip there. How do you make a TikTok sensation? Apparently, you sample an old movie, write some lovelorn lyrics, sound the sweetest you've sounded yet, get Miles Kane in, the dirty little Herbert, have a big bombastic end, and then wait 15 years for the next generation of both youths and social media platforms. Easy. Yes, it's the song that led Arctic Monkeys to accidentally use the internet for their own gains for the second time in their career.
Ding, 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 ding,
505. Yeah, 505 is next week's track.
I'm gonna want one of them every week now.
Different. I did find out there are playback things, so maybe you never know. Maybe for Humbug, because that's the experimental one, isn't it? I'll experiment with the keyboard.
Oh, God, I might experiment with some actual fucking insight. Right, this has been Don't Believe the Hype. This has been Series 2, Episode 11. Dan, say goodbye to the nice people.
Goodbye.
And say goodbye to the horrible people.
There are none.
Right answer.
I've
Bye,
not one
everyone.
con, obviously. Bye.
Yeah. We don't talk about him anymore. His name's Mud. Mud, I tell you.
I mentioned him once,
everyone.
but I think I got away with
it. Don't Believe the Hype is hosted and produced weekly by Nick Lee and Dan Holt. The music used in the titles is royalty-free music courtesy of Les FM. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast player of choice to be notified every Wednesday when a new episode is released. And if you want to help us out further, be sure to like and review to help make us more visible to like-minded souls. We will see you next week with more of the same.